you all for joining and for your flexibility in switching to this online modality. It turns out that the weather seems to be okay this evening, which is good news. But I know we were in anticipation of the possible storms, and of course there might still be something that's brewing. So I wish I was able to be with you all in person, but we will have a chance to do that next week at the fair. I know that's what we're here to get ready for today, and I will be on site next Wednesday, so we can invite anyone that I've not met with or that I have met with before to come up and say hello next week. So. Uh, I want to keep this fun. I want to keep this interactive. This is being recorded. We're going to share this with you all as well as other folks who had registered after the recording as well. We'll get that to you all tomorrow. So if you have to step away, if you're um, trying to take a lot of notes, I know I'm someone who like wants to capture everything that's on visually that's on the screen. So I just wanted to reassure everyone that you will get a copy of the slides and the recording, yeah, tomorrow as well. So I'm going to also do my best to keep an eye on kind of the chats and the chat box. This is should be a nice intimate group. So if you have your hand raised or you've asked something and I missed it because I'm just trying to manage the technology and advance the slides, let me know and just feel free to unmute and try to make sure I don't leave anyone hanging. That's one of the downsides of being in a virtual room together is I can't see you all face to face to see, when someone has a question or wants to, chime in. First of all, also, I hope you all had a great spring break. And anyone who was in the DC area who happened to stick around or who's from the area, we had some really nice spring-like weather earlier last week. So that was, it did indeed feel like a spring break and not just a cold end of winter kind of break. And welcome back to another whirlwind of weather patterns that we have in the DC area this time of year. So we're going to focus on getting ready for our job and internship fair, which is it may not be it may go without saying, but I'll say it anyway as a reminder. It's next Wednesday, March 25th from 1 to 4 p.m. in Bender Arena, which is the sports arena that's that you can access through the tunnel. And my name is Alyssa Best. I'm a career advisor. I work with across lots of different schools and lots of different majors because I work with students and I work with alumni as well, who not only recent alumni, but also support alumni who are beyond 1 year of graduation. So I always like to throw that out for folks as good news that when you graduate, you aren't cut off from career services. You continue to have access to advising, to our resources, and to our employer events, including the fair. So I am looking forward to welcoming some alumni back as participants next week, in addition to those employers who may be alumni themselves. My goal for this session is to help you feel confident and prepared to attend the fair. I'm going to walk through uh, the before, the during, and after the fair. So we'll go sequentially. And let me just go back to my screen here. I'm curious if folks want to do a raise hand. Who has attended a job and internship fair before, either at AU or in some other kind of context? Good, Diva, Marv, good, Jocelyn, excellent, good. Graydon's giving hi Graydon, nice to have you. Graydon's giving a clap. Good, good, excellent. So I may call, I would say, let me minimize my screen. I may call on you all to give some feedback. Diva is someone who was in a career exploration development course that I taught, that and part of that course, is to attend the job internship fair for as an assignment. And I always encourage folks to, especially if it's your first time, if it helps to kind of think of it more like a dress rehearsal and a way to go and, get some exposure, even if you aren't looking for an opportunity immediately, like this summer or this fall, but are curious about the fair and curious about meeting with employers, getting a chance to practice networking and talking about yourself and asking them questions. I think it's well worth the time and effort. Clearly, you all agree you're here for this workshop and wanting to be prepared. So whether it's something you're doing kind of as a dress rehearsal or as like the night of the first performance that's where it's go time. And I think that everyone has something to gain from attending the fair and preparing for it as well. Okay, so I have if you only remember five things, here are the five takeaways and that I hope will stick with you all. You don't need to be perfect to attend, absolutely. Whether that's in your attire, whether that's how you talk, uh, it's we're all works in progress, right? We recommend aiming to talk to 3 to 5 employers. That gives you a focus. We'll talk a little bit more about how to narrow in on those employers, how to research them in advance. But I think that the analogy I like to use is if you were to go to the grocery store, you usually don't go to the grocery store and walk in or and think, I don't know what I'm here for. I don't know what I'm shopping for. It's going to a farmer's market, maybe. Yeah, sometimes I know like people who like to cook and are chefs, they might draw inspiration from what they see, but a farmer's market, is a smaller a smaller selection. So if you go in and there's a lot of options, it can be easy to get overwhelmed. So come up with your shopping list, if you will, of 3 to 5 employers. We'll come back to that. Prepare a short introduction about yourself. We'll unpack what that looks like. Identifying and asking 1 to 2 thoughtful questions. And perhaps as a group, we can also brainstorm questions that may be a little bit different for employers. So I'm sure those attending the fair get a little bit bored of they're bored of the question like, so what opportunities do you have? Of course, that's why they're there. They're there to promote what they're recruiting for. But coming up with, in addition to that question, maybe or in lieu of that question, something a little bit different, a little bit creative. We can talk about what that might look like. And then finally, 5, following up afterwards, after the fair. And let me take a moment to say that I have heard multiple students and alumni tell me that they have found their position, that their recent internship, their current job from making connection at the fair. So it does work. I just want to preempt that question. A lot of times I do get from people who might be a little bit skeptical or maybe a little bit more hopeful, and maybe it's not skepticism, but hopefulness, and just need some reassurance that it can be a conduit to finding an opportunity. Hopefully, I just convinced you of why I attend the fair, but let me do a little bit more of a pitch. And this is an image of one of our fairs. So it's you get a feel for anyone who's been to an expo. I didn't go myself, but I know like the Awesome Con was this past weekend in DC. If you've gone to some kind of convention, expo, conference, that type of thing, it's similar to that experience. Actually, many of you have come to attended a either like student involvement fairs or orientation fairs and on campus and have had a similar kind of setup where there's a bunch of tables and you're trying to navigate and kind of figure out your way around. So we will have ours in a very organized fashion, alphabetically. We'll also have maps so you can get a feel for where everyone is as you get started. So you won't feel like you're wandering aimlessly. Although wandering aimlessly can be also a great way to learn about employers and go up to tables that you weren't expecting to. So there can be value in that in the wandering. So it is a way to meet multiple employers in one place. You can join or stay in an employer's candidate pipeline. What I mean by that is you can learn, if I kind of break down what we mean about a candidate pipeline. If employers, they're all going to be there because they're recruiting for internships, jobs, or both. So they will, you may hear them suggest if you're interested in, following the meeting, the interaction rather, if you're interested in applying for the role, multiple roles, many of them will probably refer you to their website and or to their portal. And so that will allow you to join their pipeline, if you will, their pool of applicants. And then staying could be if you've already applied to a position and you want to go up and introduce yourself and let them know that you've applied, and that way that they'll keep an eye out for your application. They can make a note of who you are. It'll seed that they kind of in for them that you are very interested. So it can be either kind of a proactive on the front end or a way to do that follow up if you've already applied. As I mentioned, kind of meandering around the floor, you'll learn about different industries, different organizations, and different career paths. I know there are multiple types of sectors, multiple types of missions and services that the organizations serve, and multiple majors, multiple skills and experiences that they're looking for. So we try to have a little bit of everything there as well. And then finally, another great reason to attend is it's a way to help practice introducing yourself and having professional conversations. So they can kind of see people engaged in this photo. Let me take a moment to see, are there any questions so far? And then we've had some additional folks join, and I mentioned at the beginning that of the webinar that this is recorded and you'll get a copy of the slides and this recording tomorrow as well. But let me just see if there are any questions. Okay, all right, I'll keep it going. Let me minimize my. Yeah. I mentioned earlier about thinking what would like considering the benefits at different levels of not only your class year, but also kind of the stage you are in terms of how seriously you're looking for opportunities. So for first year and sophomore students, the benefits include, as I mentioned in the previous slide, exploring different industries and career options. Many of you are figuring out uh, the type of career pathways that you may want to explore and what different sectors are. When I say sector, I mean things like private sector, nonprofit, higher education, finance, government, media, etc. Right? It's just a small smattering of sectors and industries. Many of those are, in the DC area as well, management consulting, accounting, that kind of thing. You will learn what skills and experiences employers value as you go up and hear about what they're looking for. Some may emphasize they're really looking for students with research skills or communication skills. You'll discover internships, part-time jobs, and early career programs that might look like a fellowship, which is typically like a longer term, a more in-depth and longer type of experiential learning opportunity. So it might be 9 months to a year. Fellowships are usually more designed once you graduate as well. It'll allow you to begin building or continue building your professional network and practicing talking with employers in a low pressure environment. For juniors, we can kind of sort of copy and paste, and some additional things are as you start to solidify some industries that you might be interested in, gives you an opportunity to identify internships related to your career interests, build relationships with recruiters in your field, learn about hiring timelines and application processes, gain insights into skills to strengthen before graduation. So that's something you can be thinking about, like certain classes, if you have some options and some flexibility to take, certain classes that may help to give you extra additional skills before you graduate. And then you also may find internships that could lead to full-time opportunities. You might do an internship between the summer of your junior and senior year, and then be invited back to work there after graduation. I have seen that happen with actually a former uh, student employee of the Career Center. She had done such a wonderful job at the internship that the organization, extended a full-time job offer to her to return that in May, and it was something that she was so really. I think that she even got that locked in. If it wasn't, if it was either the kind of late fall semester or early spring, and then she was able to kind of have that set and could relax a bit and enjoy the remainder of her senior year. So that's that's a great success story. Sometimes it works out where that happens, so you never know. For graduating seniors or graduating students in master's programs or PhD programs, it gives you a chance to connect with employers hiring for full-time positions, make a personal impression before your application, as well as discover organizations you may not have considered, expand your job search and professional network, and potentially move forward with interviews or next steps. And then kind of a final thought here, career fairs are valuable at every stage of your college journey, not just when you're about to graduate. And I know that you all believe that because I know when you are at different levels as I've had a chance to work with some of you before. So I know not everyone is graduating this, as a graduating senior, for example. It's normal to feel nervous. Most students feel nervous attending career fairs. Recruiters expect students to be learning. They don't expect you to be experts. So they know this is what we refer to as an experiential learning opportunity. Even full-time positions can be considered, in that category as well. It's a way to take what you're learning, to complement what you're learning in the classroom and outside of the classroom experience. You can participate in ways that work for you. There's no one right way to attend a fair, and we'll get into that with the tips. So, some ways to combat nervousness. First, I would say think about what you want to wear. We'll talk a little bit about this in a bit, but I think it's helpful. Actually, I should take a moment to think about what I'm going to wear because I sometimes mix it up. I sometimes will do what I call kind of like my fake business suit, where I have a black blazer and a black pair of slacks. They're not technically a part of the same business suit set, but you can tell, if you got right up. Yeah, I don't even think if you looked at it really super close that you'd be able to tell there's any distinction. So I usually will wear that outfit plus a blouse or a top, and then I'm good to go. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm wearing that day. So it's good to think about and try on outfits beforehand too, especially if it's something that you own that you haven't tried on in a while, just to make sure it fits, make sure that if it needs to be washed, if it needs to be dry cleaned, that kind of thing. So I think that's one thing, envisioning and planning ahead your outfits. Also thinking about when you'll be free to come. So mapping out many of you may be coming in, before or in between or after class. So the fair's from 1 to 4. You can just pop in and out at any point. It's worth coming even if you can attend for 10, 15 minutes. But I would usually say give yourself, if you can, if your schedule allows, give yourself like, maybe 30 minutes so you have a chance to go around, you don't feel too rushed. And of course, you're welcome to exit and re-enter. It's not like a music festival where you can, or unless you have the special wristband, you can't get, be admitted back in. So you can pop in and out. Sometimes, I will do a walk around, and then maybe if the weather's nice, step out to the garden next to the arena and, take a breather there. It's just to have, the space is pretty high sensory stimulation. So if you know that you are going to need a little bit of a breather to have some quiet time, have some time to yourself to recharge. It's good to plan for that and pad that into the schedule. So once you're there, start by walking around the room. As I mentioned, we'll have maps. We'll have the employers in alphabetical order, so it should be very intuitive. You can observe. Feel free to observe a few conversations before jumping in, so you can kind of go and sort of like check out the scene, right? Bringing notes with your questions. So you may want to have a pad folio or a notebook to have some questions jotted down. Attending with a friend or a classmate. Some of you may be assigned to do so as part of a class that you're in, so that gives you some motivation right there. But attending with a friend, I think when I've seen folks there with someone else, they usually seem more at ease, more relaxed. It also gives you a chance to check in with each other. Oh, which tables are you planning to go to? Maybe you approach some employers together. Maybe you split up and do your own thing, and then come back together to debrief. Also on the Met, so everything will happen on the arena floor, on the floor above the mezzanine. We do have a quiet room space, and so that I say quiet. It is a space that is dedicated, that's sort of away from the action. It's not, I will say it's not completely quiet in that I would say call it a quiet zone. I would say it's a quieter zone because of the acoustics of the arena. You will hear, you'll continue to hear the chatter and the noise and everything from the area below, but it does give you a chance to sort of step out of the fray. I'm going to pause there, take a sip of my tea. Any questions so far? Questions or comments?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So for like the School of Education, I'm guessing they're gonna have like different school districts there also at the job fair.
That's a great question. We do typically have school districts there, so
Because I'm in a School of Education. That's why I was just asking.
we will, I think as we get through this presentation, we'll talk a little bit about some of the employers, and so we can look and see together which school districts, yeah, which employers are hiring educators, and absolutely, that way you can create your, like, hone in on your wish list of employers and come in with a game plan. Absolutely. Good. So let's see, before the fair, I can go back. Planning ahead. Okay, so the first is registering for the fair and handshake. This will stay out for a while. So if you this slide. So if you haven't already, you can scan the barcode that'll take you to handshake. Also, you can when you log into handshake, go to the events and career fairs tab, and that will get take you right into that information as well. Reviewing the employers who are attending, we can do that together. Make note of the date, time, and location. I'm a bit of a broken record, but I'll say it again, 1 to 4 p.m. next Wednesday, March 25th in Bender Arena. Oh, bring your AUID for check-in.
Um, Sorry.
That's
Um,
okay.
for the list of employers attending, has it been released?
Yes, yes, and yeah. We'll get there and I'll show you how to access that. And I see a question about employers for SOC students. And yeah, as I say, the employers who come usually have a very large swath of majors slash minors they're interested in. So it's not where like the School of Education, the School of Communication, or SIS, it's not like they have like separate booths, if you will. It's more that different employers will come and will be interested in a range of AU students and alumni. So I'll explain a little bit. That might be more clear as we get to that list. But yeah, so the list of employers is in when you register in Handshake. Well, even before you register, you can see the list of employers, and we'll look at that together as a group. Okay, so here we have, actually, I'll take a moment to get, whoops. Let me put this into this. Sorry, I'm trying to put this AU, um, this particular Notion site in the, I think because it's in the slide deck, I can put that into the chat, but we have our a Notion board, which is a type of a type of kind of organizational tool. In addition to seeing all the employers on Handshake, you can also view them through this Notion board, which is kind of color coordinated a little bit of a different visual layout. So you have the option of looking at employers in both Handshake or the Notion board, identifying 5 to 10 employers of interest, and then maybe like narrowing in on like the 3 to 5 that you most want to talk to, and then preparing 1 to 2 questions for each employer. So let me take a moment to get out of my, um, get to the, let me put this in the chat box so folks can follow along. Moment. Okay, oh, okay, that did not hyperlink. Let me try one. So you may just want to have to, here we go. That's a longer URL, but that's also goes. So let me do a screen share of the Notion board. There we go. So we can, what I like about this, looking at it through this vantage point is you can also, it's much easier to see which employers are recruiting for what opportunities. So specifically, you can filter based on, whether you're looking for a full-time job or an internship or part-time job, fellowship.
How do
So
you get to that?
what's that, Ortez?
How do you get to that?
To this page.
Yes.
I just put it into the chat, the link. Are you able to
Oh, I see it. Okay.
see it? The when I put the shortened version, it didn't hyperlink, so I just copied and pasted the longer one. It looks like it did hyperlink. Is anyone having difficulty accessing the page who's trying to access it right now? Okay, good. Um, and then you can also sift through these employers by um, majors, for example, as well. If you're an international student, these two, OPT, CPT, that way you can rule out the employers that say answer no. Let's see here. So this is where it's a lot of employers are looking for all majors. And even like this, we have this one. I'm wondering if this has more listed here than is it might be kind of cut off. So we mentioned, let me jump back up to the front to the top. So Ortez was asking about schools. So I can see there's the DC Bilingual Public Charter School. There is Basis Charter Schools, Charles County Public Schools, Teach for America. Okay. I'm not sure if I missed one, but so there's at least 4 employers that are within that space. And then I know Jocelyn asked about employers that are going to be geared towards the school communicate students in our school of communication. So this one is a little bit harder to answer through this kind of this platform in that it's we don't see the title. This one doesn't show. We do ask employers, by the way, to indicate what type of role or roles they're like, not just whether it's not just the type, like internship or full-time job, but also the titles, a little bit more details and specifics about the roles. Some don't offer that information in advance, like through our how, through the ways that we collect that information. So it's sometimes where it will be it'll be more revealed on the day of. Like it's, for example, the DC Bilingual Public Charter School. Yes, they're likely hiring educators, but they also might be hiring communication professionals. They may be hiring human resources professionals, accountants. Um, so administrators, essentially, people in administrative roles, in addition to teaching classroom teachers as well. So it's hard to know through this information that we've collected so far, which, like, I know in the school of communication, it could be there's a variety of majors, a variety of different skills. If you're studying like film and media arts, or for example, it's there may definitely be a wide variety of positions that would suit you outside of uh, companies that have a very like specific communication focus. But with that said, let's see if I can just look at the employers and see which ones may kind of ring most kind of relevant for an SOC student. Well, there's Levine Music, so that could be, of course, if someone is in kind of doing the kind of creative arts. They also might be looking for teachers, so that might be also for music educators. We have, let's see, High Life Studios, DC News Now, the National Air and Space Museum also may be hiring for roles that would likely appeal to our School of Communication students as well. U.S. House of Representatives as well. There are a range of different internships and positions. So okay, so that's saying full-time job, entry-level full-time job experience. So that's good for graduate students as well as alumni who are maybe coming back at with at more of a mid-level. Any questions so far? Let me show you also the other way to go about looking, which is um, on through Handshake. Give me a moment here. I'm going to put this also in the chat. This is if you use the QR code to get to Handshake. This takes you to our fair page. Okay. And then, so here is where you can also save bookmark it. You can register. You don't have to register in advance to attend. It just helps us kind of gauge the number of attendees in advance. It just kind of helps us get a feel for that. Also gives us a chance to communicate that to employers as well. And then here you go over here on the right. Well, you can get to it two different ways. You can click here on employers, or you can click here, view list. Either way, it takes you to the list. And then the filters, you can filter, for example, if you're an international student, want to filter by accepts OPT, CPT candidates. can filter by industry, a specific major. Like let's put like education, for example. I know we have multiple education programs. Let me just pick, um, uh, maybe I pick two. But I'll do elementary. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do math per se. Let's see, I'm trying to do secondary and teaching. Let's do that. Okay. Um, this is interesting. It's coming up. That might be too filtered because I think I might clear those filters because the charter schools and school, the county school districts aren't coming up. So let me take that out. That looks like it was, let me clear that. Let's see. I'm gonna type about this. What if we do internship? Okay, so here we have a broader view of folks who are seeking interns. And this is where you can do your homework in advance by being like, oh, okay, the American Association for the Advancement of Science. You could go to their website, you can read their blurb, you can click on this link in Handshake and it gives you information about the employer. So you can go through more, I think kind of, learn more about the employers through this mechanism. Okay. All right. So those are the two ways you can figure out who's coming, build out your list. Let me go back to my slideshow. Get it back. Thanks for your patience as I toggle between all the different screens here. There we go. So preparing your pitch, you already got to see a preview of what's coming next. So your name, your major, or if you're a master's or graduate student, sharing that. Your year, like I'm a junior or I'm a first year master's student or a graduating senior, whatever it may be. Your career interest, I'm interested in teaching. What you're hoping to learn / a question. I'd love to hear more about the opportunities that the Charles County Public School System, is recruiting for. And here we have a quick blurb. Hello, my name is Alyssa. I'm a sophomore studying marketing. I'm the treasurer for AU's marketing club and I'm very interested in digital marketing. I was excited to see that your company is recruiting for marketing interns. I'd love to hear more about the opportunities at your organization and what skills make a candidate successful in their application for this role. So quickly, a little bit about who you are, both what you're studying as well as if you're involved in student activities or if you have a background in what their kind of the organization does and kind of turning it to them in terms of what you want to learn about as you chat with them. Okay, here's a pitch for pitching. We have an elevator pitch workshop tomorrow from 6 to 7, and hopefully I'm sure we will be resuming our normal operations tomorrow. So, in the Mary Green Student Center, room 305, to learn how to craft your perfect pitch. And the reason you'll hear about this tomorrow, but the reason it's called elevator pitch is it's intended to be something short, as you heard me. I didn't time myself, but it is. I likely could have said that as I'm riding up an elevator if someone was saying, "Oh, so are you a student at AU? What are you studying?" And then you can like just very quickly convey those key details. I talked about this a little bit, what to bring and where. Um, Printed resumes. So this was something we were talking about in our on our team. It's some employers won't accept a printed resume. They'll just say, oh, just, apply online. So I don't want you to get to print out a ton and then get discouraged if some employers decline the printed resume. I think it's helpful to bring, I don't know, maybe five or so, 5 to 10 printed resumes because if someone will take the resume, I find like when I've been involved in one of our student employment fair, and I've been tabling for the Career Center to as we hire part-time employees, student employees. When someone hands me their resume and they're introducing themselves, they're doing what we just saw on the last slide. They're giving me their pitch. I'm a visual learner, so I like having the piece of paper, and as they're talking and telling me about themselves, I can kind of follow along with their work history. So personally, I think it's helpful. But don't go wild with printing a ton. And I know that you can print on campus. Don't wait till the day of to print because there might be some long lines of people trying to print last minute. So I would say, plan for the day before. Notebook or phone for notes. We talked about this, planning your outfit. Business casual is usually appropriate. I would, whatever makes you feel confident in what you're wearing. I know not everyone has professional attire that they've packed or have on hand in their dorm or in their closet. I know that uh, the fit closet, excuse me, there are two things. For graduate students, there's something called the fit closet, which is on this in the School of Education that built in the Spring Valley building, where graduate studies is located. They have professional attire that graduate students, they also don't turn away undergrad students as well uh, from coming in, and shopping in the closet, free, of course. And there's also the walk trade thrift store on campus, which is in Mary Graydon on the Mary Graydon Student Center on the second floor. I just popped in there the other day to check that out and get a feel because I'm decluttering and I wanted to donate some of my items I've been donating items to both closets, and they have a mix of some professional attire as well as some more casual attire there. So that could also be another place, especially for undergrad students, to look for some business casual clothes. I like to, I think this kind of these images here give you a feel for sort of the variety of what people may be wearing. I like to, especially if this is your first time coming to a fair, for you to know, like you will see some folks who will be like fully in a business suit, and it's okay if you don't have that. I know those can be expensive. That's why I gave you my own little hack about having usually making two separates into what looks like a cohesive look. But I just want you all to be prepared that you will see some people kind of, really dressed up, so you don't feel intimidated or surprised when you get there. So the main thing is avoiding, athletic clothes, avoiding, sweatpants and, jeans if possible, if you have a different kind of type of pant or skirt or whatever what your preference is and how you express yourself and how you like to dress. So, and then a little disclaimer at the bottom, you may bring a bag, but please note that the fair gets crowded. There's no backpack storage. So when possible, choosing a smaller bag or portfolio, there's not a place to kind of drop your stuff. Oh, and here we go. One more thing, clean, neat. It's not a run-of-the-mill day, right? Yeah. Okay. And just know, I know sometimes it is in the middle of the afternoon. Uh, so some of you may have to plan that in advance. Like you may be walking out of your dorm or your apartment that day with with your fair outfit on because you won't have time to go back and change. So we'll have to see what the weather's doing then. So if you want to bring a blazer or sports jacket, maybe the kind of thing you just carry around and throw on when you get to the fair because it may be too hot to wear otherwise. Any questions so far? I'll take a moment to pause. Okay, all right. So during the fair, we're moving through the day. So starting the conversation, how to approach employers. Well, first they want you to come up. So a lot of them will have attractive displays and have like swag and candy and things. They want to like lure you over to their tables. So that's what's fun about just kind of also walking around. Sometimes lines do form, though, waiting your turn, kind of getting, seeing, what if there is a long line, um, we try to space everyone out and have it be where there's a lot of, it's good flow and easy to navigate. But if you do see a line, you could just skip, go to somewhere else, and then circle back and see if, things have kind of cleared up a little bit. Smile and make eye contact. Absolutely. Looking friendly, approachable. We gave you a rundown of how you might introduce yourself, asking thoughtful questions, listening and engaging. There we go. And you can see this in action in this photo. All right, so you might be thinking, all right, Alyssa's mentioned a couple times now asking thoughtful questions. What might that look like? Good questions for employers. What does a typical day look like for interns? What skills are most important in this role? What advice would you give students interested in this field? What does your hiring timeline look like? For summer, it's for summer opportunities, they're probably gonna will want you to apply soon since this will be happening, in late March. For opportunities that may be in the fall, they may be, hiring for something that's further out. They may have a different timeline. So good to know, so that way you won't miss any of those. And avoiding asking questions easily found on the employer's website. Sure. Let me throw it open to the group, either for folks who have gone to a fair before, which if that in that case, if there's a question that you've asked an employer that you'd like to share, or for folks who have not yet gone to a fair, is there a question that you're most curious about? That's obviously this is not an exhaustive list, but that either is coming to you as we talk through this list, or that you have. There's the main thing is like lead with your curiosity, and you might also as you pick up their pamphlets and materials, questions might arise naturally as you're there, but let me throw it either if you want to add a question you might ask or have asked in the chat, or if you want to unmute, I invite you to share. While you're thinking, another question could be, what have been your kind of the best attributes of other successful employees that you've hired or other successful interns that you've hired? What, kind of hearing them describe kind of like an ideal candidate. All right, I'll let you all think about this. Move on to the next. I'm realizing time's flying by for me very quickly, so I'm realizing we have about 10 minutes. All right, so after the fair, send a thank you. Send a thank you email or LinkedIn message for those of you who are on LinkedIn within 24 to 48 hours. Many employees will have their business card or they'll have some information that will have their contact information on there. Or you can always ask, if you have a LinkedIn account, you might even ask, may I look up, may I connect with you on LinkedIn? Uh, would you mind if I sent you a LinkedIn request? I don't think anyone's going to say no to that. So you can, if they don't have a card, you can, write down or type in their name, their information. Oh, the other thing or rather their name. What's great about or email if you're contacting them via email. One of the cool things some people do with LinkedIn is they'll have their QR code kind of like digitally scan to take you to their LinkedIn page. So that might be something that you might experience. What to include? Thanking them for their time, coming to the fair, mentioning something specific from the conversation. I enjoyed our, hearing about blah, blah, blah. Express continued interest. I remain, after our conversation, I'm even more excited about the opportunity to apply for your summer fellowship program. Apply for positions. Turn conversations into opportunity. Apply through Handshake or the company website if they are referring you there. Mention that you met the recruiter at the fair because that's really helpful for them. They're doing this because they want to, of course, to connect with you all, but they also want to, and for some AU alumni, it might be a great chance to come back, visit campus, and give back as well. They're there because they also want to recruit people to work for their company. So they want to know, like, was this time well spent? One way to measure that is if they find out that you are applying because you met them at the fair. That'll help reinforce this is a good use of our time. We're getting to the right people. We're getting good candidates in our pipeline. And then tracking your application. Mistakes to avoid. Showing up with no research. So I also sometimes will work at we have a student resource table. So if you have questions, you want to come up, you want a little pep talk, you want to get oriented, whatever it may be, come and see us. The question that I would say to the mistake to avoid is sometimes people come up and they say, "Who should I talk to?" And that to me is like the analogy I shared earlier, walking to the grocery store, entering the grocery store, walking up to a clerk and being like, "What should I buy?" It's it's really it's versus I'm looking for, can you help, I'm looking for pickles. Can you help, point out the aisle the pickles are on, or do you carry X brand, or that kind of type of thing, right? So getting specific, coming in with a little bit of research so you know who you want to talk to. We've looked at the employers, so hopefully you all are walking away with some ideas now. Only talking to one employer. I would say if you only have like 10 minutes, then that's okay. Then I would say that I would consider that not a mistake. But if you're there for at least 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, trying to, circulate, get around to as many tables, especially, and hitting up the ones that you're targeting as well, your 3 to 5 kind of wish list companies. Oh, asking what does your company do? Because you're going to have done your research and you're going to know in advance. So then you can just kind of jump to, a more specific question, which also helps you stand out. Oh, being glued to, oops, there's a typo. Pardon me on that. I'll fix that for slides. Being glued to your phone. So, it's, of course, we all use our phones all the time, but being careful not to walk around, where you're just kind of staring at your phone the whole time. So, um, okay, so, and then as we start to wrap up, we have some upcoming prep events. We have a lot of programming leading up to the fair. This is our busiest time frame. Anytime that we have a fair coming up, we have crafting your elevator pitch that I mentioned that one earlier. That's tomorrow night. Getting your resume ready. I mentioned printing your resumes. That might have induced a little bit of panic. Hopefully not, but a little bit of nervousness. Some of you are like, "Oh yeah, I got to get my resume ready," right? So Wednesday at noon in the Butler Boardroom, which is one floor above the Career Center, we're going to have a Getting Your Resume Ready event. Next week, we also have 2 different what we call resume stations, which is basically like a drop-in resume advising kind of forum, if you will. So on Monday from 2 to 5 via Zoom, you can pop in. There's a link if you register on Handshake. And then on Tuesday, we'll have an in-person resume station in the Career Center. We're Butler Pavilion, 5th floor, from 1 to 4. So the times are a little bit different there. We have the 2 to 5 virtual, and then the following day, next Tuesday, will be the in-person from 1 to 4. Oh, yep, there we go. Oh, I like good, good affirmation. Good. Yeah. Remember, you've got this. Recruiters, they want to meet you. You don't have to be perfect. Every conversation is practice and it builds confidence, and we're here to help. And as I mentioned, stopping by the student resource table during the fair with any questions. Where we're usually located is when you enter the arena floor, like if you're going down a set of steps, you'll find is like as the first table. You have to walk past us to get to the employer, so you can't miss us. So I know we have about 5 minutes. I have any questions, any additional questions that have popped up, or anything else that you want to follow up on?
I'm guessing the best way is just to put all these dates in your calendar, just to
Right. I can actually, again, I can go back to rewinding. Yes, absolutely. I'll leave this up for since I exactly that reason for folks who want to get everything noted. You can also find all of these events and register, bookmark them and register for them in Handshake as well in the on the events tab. Are there any other questions? Oops. Here. Just going over to the chat. I don't see any questions in the chat. I lost my screen where I can see all of you because I'm doing a screen share. So if anyone's raising their hand, feel free just to chime in because I'm unable to see that feature at the moment. What's one thing that's getting you all the most excited about the fair? Like what's one aspect that you're most looking forward to?
opportunities.
Good opportunities, absolutely. What else? Goes.
Virtual Zoom stations.
Oops. What's the on the flip side? Well, let me before going to the flip side. Absolutely, yeah. This is usually has a very tangible outcome that people are seeking, right? They want to learn about, apply for, and hopefully secure an opportunity that they learn about at the fair. And as I mentioned at the top of our call, I have seen that happen. It definitely does happen. It can happen. So I think putting yourself in that positive mindset is is a great way to have the right attitude coming into the fair. What is something that you're particularly nervous or any concern, a particular concern that each of you have?
Um, this is sorry. Can
Go
I?
ahead. Yeah, please. Mhm.
This is like just like as an international student, just like a bit worried. The general like, you know, but I don't need sponsorship yet because I'm still on CPT. So I still
Mhm.
have like time to worry about that, but because I did go, I think there was another one at MGC, right? A mini career fair. Was it the Kogod one? I don't know. But a while ago, just like 2, 3 weeks ago.
Yep, you're
And
right. Hmm.
they just like said like we're sorry, but we're just not looking at international students. So that was a bit, you know, um
That's discouraging. Yeah, doesn't feel like a good use of your time.
yeah.
And that's where, Diva, I would encourage you to, um, and on either Handshake or on the Notion board, you can filter and see. I did like just upon a quick scan, it did look like a lot of employers who are coming to the fair are hiring OPT slash CPT slash OPT for folks who have that. So that's good news. I definitely think that I I will reassure you that you would not have the same situation where you would be kind of turned away or be like, no, we don't have anything for you because we definitely will for international students. And we usually actually, I'm glad that you mentioned that because what we also typically offer as a resource that we'll have at the table, and so please come by the student resource table and grab one of these handouts. We'll have a flyer, not a flyer per se, but like a resource sheet of the where we've collected and listed the names of the employers who are hiring international students. So we try to make it really easy for you by packaging that information. So do come by for anyone else who may be joining now or listening to this recording later who is in a similar boat. Please come by the student resource table and you can get that handout as well.
Right.
I appreciate that question, and I'm sorry you had that experience um, where it didn't prove to be fruitful.
Yeah.
As you know, our goal is we want everyone to hopefully walk away with, at least one good conversation, good connection, hopefully many more, right? A good opportunity to talk about yourself, but also to learn about tangible opportunities that you do have a good shot at. So hopefully we can turn, hopefully this event will help to, have a more positive outcome.
Yeah.
Are there any other things that anyone else wanted to share? Something they're worried about or nervous about? Because I bet if you're feeling it, someone else is feeling it too. I'll go off this so I can see if there are any hands raised. Well, I know we're over time, so I want to be mindful of that and not interfere. But I don't want us to be in between you and dinner. So, so thank you all so much for joining. I'm going to put my email into the chat for those who don't already have it. It's abest, my first initial last name, abest, best@american.edu. Feel free to email me with any questions. You'll get um, these resources following up tomorrow. And I look forward to hopefully seeing all of you at the fair next Wednesday. I don't have my list yet of like where my schedule of where I'll be, but I usually am at the student resource fair for part of the time. I also am in charge of our employer lounge. We have on the mezzanine level, we have as one of my coworkers called it, I'm in charge of craft services. For those of you who know, that's where the food and beverages are for in the entertainment industry. So I kind of oversee that, make sure our employers have are fed and everything. So I'm sometimes not always on the arena floor. I'm up on the mezzanine and it's part of the time too. So feel free to come and introduce yourself. And or say hello if we already know each other and have fun. And I look forward to seeing you all then. Thank you so much for your time tonight, and I wish you all a good rest of the week.
Thanks so much.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Thank
guys.
You're
you.
Thank you
welcome.
so much. Bye.
Appreciate you.